Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news about another terrorist attack overseas, news from the Ridgecrest Police Department, presidential polls, weather, sports, and the KZGN Talking Points editorial.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Wicknick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Well, terrorists strike again, killing 10 and injuring at least 15. Except this time it's in Turkey. Reports state that a 28-year-old Syrian national blew himself up in a popular tourist district of Istanbul on Tuesday. And it was killing at least 10 people and injuring at least 15 more, Turkish government officials said. Turkey's Dogan news agency reported that at least 6 Germans, 1 Norwegian, and 1 Peruvian were among the wounded. And Seoul's foreign ministry told reporters via text message that 1 South Korean had been injured as well. The Norwegian foreign ministry told Norway's news agency, NTB, that the Norwegian tourist was slightly hurt and was being treated in a local hospital. There was no information if any Americans were among the dead or injured. Authorities in Germany and Denmark warned citizens visiting Turkey to avoid crowds outside tourist attractions in Istanbul. German officials said on a government website that further violent clashes and terrorist attacks are expected across Turkey. Germany also urged travelers to stay away from demonstrations and gatherings, particularly in large cities. The explosion, which could be heard from several neighborhoods, was at a park that is home to a landmark obelisk some 25 yards from the historic Blue Mosque. Sultanahmet is Istanbul's main sightseeing area and includes a palace and a museum. A government official, speaking on condition of anonymity because of government rules, told the Associated Press the explosion was believed to be terror-linked. In news from the Ridgecrest Police Department, Chief Strand and City Clerk Rachel Ford swore in the department's newest policeman. Richie Garibay was sworn in as the newest officer yesterday. Garibay was an officer here for 6 years when he decided to take on a new position in the Pomona Police Department. After 6 months there, he got homesick for his family in Ridgecrest and decided to come back. Garibay has a degree from University of Great Falls, Montana, and attended the police academy in Riverside. He has been assigned to regular patrol duties. And are you ready for this one? The President will be giving his last State of the Union speech tonight. It has been reported that in Michelle Obama's box to watch the speech, there will be 1 Syrian refugee, 1 illegal immigrant, and 1 empty seat to symbolize all those people lost to gun violence. Yes, you heard me right. There will be 1 Syrian refugee, 1 illegal immigrant, and 1 empty seat to symbolize all those people lost to gun violence in Michelle Obama's box to watch the State of the Union speech. This will surely fire up the opposition to the President's beliefs of how to handle these problems. If the press doesn't understand the anger of the majority of the people against this administration, wait until they see the resultant reaction to this stunt by the President. This will surely fire up the base behind the non-establishment presidential candidates. Here's the latest in presidential campaign polls. With just 20 days until the presidential primaries officially begin in Iowa, the latest Investors Business Daily polls show Trump at 34, Cruz at 18, Rubio at 9, Carson at 8, and finally shows Christie and Bush at 4%. Donald Trump extended his lead over his GOP rivals, with 34% now backing him, up from 27%. The field under Trump has shuffled, however, as Ted Cruz takes the second-place spot with 18% support from Ben Carson, whose support collapsed to 8% from last month's 15%. Marco Rubio remains in third, but his support fell to 9% from 14%. On the Democratic side of the campaign, Hillary Clinton's support among Democrats nationally has taken a serious tumble, falling 8 points to 43% for her, and her chief rival Bernie Sanders climbed 6 points to 39%. As a result, Clinton's lead over Sanders, which had been 18 points, is now just 4 points. The actual number now shows Clinton at 43%, Sanders at 39%, and O'Malley at 2%. In the Iowa race, the new NBC poll shows the GOP race with Cruz with just a 4% lead over Trump now. It shows Cruz at 28%, Trump at 24%, Rubio at 13%, Carson at 11%, Paul at 5%, Bush at 4%, and Christie at 3%. The Democratic race shows an even closer race between Clinton and Sanders. It shows Clinton at 48%, Sanders at 45%, and O'Malley at 5%. In the New Hampshire races, the NBC polls show these numbers. For the GOP, it shows Trump at 30%, Rubio at 14%, Cruz at 10%, and Bush at 9%. For the DNC, it shows Sanders at 50%, Clinton at 46%, and O'Malley at 1%. Now stay with us for news about the NFL possibly moving a team to Los Angeles when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, in news from the NFL begins discussions on the move of potential teams to Los Angeles today. As it stands now, the Raiders, Chargers, and Rams have all submitted applications to move from their current cities to Los Angeles. All of them have cited inadequate stadiums where they are now. Two of the current stadiums are the oldest in the NFL, and that the current cities have not offered any solid assurances of providing new stadiums. The move will require 24 of 32 teams casting an approval vote. The Rams have proposed building a new stadium at the old Hollywood racetrack in Inglewood. The Chargers and Raiders have proposed a new stadium in Carson. Discussions could take up to 2 days. It is unclear if there will be a decision made after 2 days or further discussions will be needed. In news from the Democratic Club of the High Desert, they are announcing their next meeting. They will hold their monthly lunch meeting Saturday, January 16th at noon at Charlie's Restaurant, located in the Clarion Inn on North China Lake Boulevard. The visiting guest speaker shall be Tina Warren. She's co-owner of Warren Automotive. Tina is the current president of the Ridgecrest Chamber of Commerce and has been very active in community civic and business affairs. Tina will talk about the goals and objectives of the Chamber and share some of her favorite programs for 2016. Everyone is welcome to attend. There is no admission fee. Buying your own lunch or a drink is optional. For more information, contact Matthew Alexander, the Democrat Club press officer at 760-382-3878. Again, they'll be meeting this Saturday at noon. On Monday, January 18th, there is a free chess tournament for kids. They play 4 to 6 rounds of chess. Players have 15 minutes to make all their moves in the game, and they use clocks. Their games are not USCF rated, so no memberships are required. The tournament is free for all students. Everyone competes in every round. Students play in sections by grade level. Students can play in higher sections for more challenging games. Everyone gets an award at the end of the tournament. The tournament goes from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Gateway Elementary School on Gateway Boulevard in Ridgecrest. For more information, call 760-377-0034. This is on Martin Luther King Day, and registration is from 8:30 to 9 a.m. The awards will go from 12:30 to 1 p.m. Again, this is free for all students, all levels, up to 12th grade. Now it's time for the 109th KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Here's today's topic. Is there still anyone out there that believes the refugees pose no threat to us? If so, just read the news. Well, here we are about a month after Trump called for a temporary pause in letting in more Syrian refugees until the background check system could be improved to adequately screen these people. And bunches of people and the media started the old racist and bigot slur words towards Trump and anyone that supported the concept. And now add to it tonight's stunt Obama is pulling for his last State of the Union speech. There will be one Syrian refugee, one illegal immigrant, and one empty seat to symbolize all those people lost to gun violence in Michelle Obama's box to watch the State of the Union speech. Unbelievable. How can the President of the United States, who took an oath to support and defend all of us from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to defend and enforce the Constitution of the United States, decide to allow an illegal immigrant to actually sit in the President's box to watch the speech? This single act spits in the eye of every veteran that fought to defend this country and our nation of laws. Laws that no one has the right to ignore without consequences. No one. I'm sure there will be some far-left liberals that think this will be a very powerful statement by the President. But I guarantee the backlash will be unbelievable. So for all you supporters of unlimited admission of refugees and illegal immigrants, are you still confident that our government screening system is good enough? Do you still believe our supposed and these are some of your supporters' own words, that our excellent screening system is adequate? Now that we are seeing more and more terrorist attacks on our people and police officers by people declaring allegiance to ISIS, do you still think we shouldn't just temporarily stop admitting refugees from certain ISIS-controlled areas? We had arrests of a person in Sacramento that actually fought on the side of ISIS in Syria and got back in with no problem. His arrest is connected to another in Texas. We have the San Bernardino shooting. We have the attack on a Philadelphia police officer just driving down the street. And that one was amazing. Did you watch the news briefing on the shooting? The chief of police stated exactly the guy was declaring he was making the attack in allegiance to ISIS and Allah. Then the mayor got up and said, "There's no one in this room that believes that the attack had anything to do with Islam or Muslims." And the attacker's own mother was quoted as saying the attacker was a devout Muslim. Can you believe it? The mayor's chief just stated what the attacker was declaring, and the Democrat mayor said it had nothing to do with it. Unbelievable. Then we have the heads of two agencies telling Congress they do not have the means to adequately screen the refugee applications. Some have said we are cowards for not wanting to admit women and children. Well, did you see the training video put out recently by ISIS that also showed a boy about 8 years old holding his hands in the victory sign? Did you notice one of the main shooters in the San Bernardino shooting was a woman? Look at the New Year's attacks in Germany, Austria, and Finland. They just randomly sexually attacked and raped all kinds of women for fun, all by Muslim immigrants. Are these the people we want admitted to our country too? Again, I know all these supposed refugees are not all bad people, and I would agree that probably most of them are good people. But how are we to know which are good and which are bad? If you are a woman out there watching this editorial or reading it online that supports letting these potential threats into the U.S., could you please tell me why you would want men admitted that see women as possessions, property? They believe women have no rights at all. They can't even drive or show their faces in public. These are the potentially people that could eventually move into your neighborhood, maybe even home right next to you where you live. Why would you not instead support the pause of allowing these people into the U.S.? Support a pause until the people that do the screening of these people at least are willing to come on TV and proclaim that they have made changes to the background check system and that they believe they can now adequately screen these refugees. Wake up before it's too late, like it is in Europe. They have let in millions of these refugees, and what happened New Year's Eve is just the beginning. Already there are sections of France and Germany where the police won't even go into some neighborhoods. They aren't welcome there. The supporters of the strict Muslim way of life is now a mini-government within a free country, and they have no intention to assimilate to their host country's way of life. You see, this is the biggest difference of previous immigrants to the U.S. and the current influx of refugees and illegal immigrants. Most of these people really want us to change our way of life to their beliefs. They don't want to learn English. They want schools to teach their kids in Spanish or even some other languages in other cities where there are large populations of immigrants of different languages. They don't want to celebrate our history. They want our business culture to change to support their religious beliefs. Businesses cannot possibly adapt to every religious belief system. Anyway, supporters of the pause in allowing refugees into the U.S. are just wanting government to act responsibly. We want our government officials that took oaths of office and swore to defend us from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and also swore to defend and enforce the Constitution of the United States to do what they swore to do. Elected officials don't get to enforce some laws while ignoring others. If they don't like a law, then it has to be changed in accordance with our system, not with the stroke of a person's pen. For those of you that support this president's illegal use of executive orders, you may just rue the day, because just as this president used the power illegally, the next president may do the same thing against what you think is the right thing to do. Then you'll be screaming about them doing it. Laws should only be written or changed by Congress and then approved by the President, and the Supreme Court should only rule on the constitutionality of the law. And oh, by the way, let's get our background check system fixed. In conclusion, we need to pause our admittance system for refugees and visa applicants from certain countries around the world. We need to find people that stay illegally after their visas expire. We need to pause until our own leaders assure us they have made substantial changes to the background check system. And they need to describe to us just what those changes are. This is not being a racist or a bigot. It's about we the people demanding that our elected officials do what they took an oath to do. I'm Tom Whitnick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments about this editorial or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Now stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Lane for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, heavy lake effect snow is possible on Tuesday for areas downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Gusty winds will accompany the lake effect snow. Heavy snow is possible across portions of Maine, while wintry weather is expected for portions of the west coast. Temperatures across the nation: Carolinas at 55, Georgia at 51, Arkansas at 54, Northern Texas at 49, Arizona at 59, and Los Angeles at 63. And for us locally, tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 33, west wind 5 miles per hour. Wednesday, partly sunny with a high near 57, south-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night, partly cloudy with a low around 35, west wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high near 56, south-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Thursday night, partly cloudy with a low around 37, west-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. And Friday, mostly sunny with a high near 58, west wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Tuesday early evening to everyone. Let's start with a local sports note. Basketball tonight over at Trona High School. It'll be Trona and Baker. Trona doing real well this year. They're 8 wins and only 1 loss. They're off to an extremely good start. Last night at Cal City, Emmanuel Christian lost to Cal City, the high school Ravens, over the Crusaders last night. The girls of Cal City defeated Emmanuel Christian. Okay, let's talk about the national championship. Well, it was really all that it was meant to be. Alabama played well. Clemson played well. Clemson, good enough to be your national championship the way they played, but they played a team that was on fire, the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Jay Coker, the Alabama quarterback, 3 touchdown passes, 2 to O.J. Howard. Now, O.J. Howard, their big tight end, only had 2 touchdowns all season. That was last night. In fact, he went his first 2 years at Alabama without a touchdown. He was a tight end that they got involved last night, and boy, he did a great job. Also, Adam Griffin, the big running back for Alabama, was just about unstoppable at times last night. Alabama has a great defense. Clemson has a very good offense, a very good defense, but last night, Alabama's front line a little bit too much for Clemson. Now, Lou Saban will probably be the coach of the year. He did another great job at Alabama, and boy, what a good season it was. They're considering expanding it to maybe 8 teams instead of 4 for the BCS championship. We'll see what happens. I kind of like the idea of maybe having 8. You'd have to back things up another week or so to get everything in, but it would be very interesting for that. It was a great season this year for college football. Bowl games, we had some real dogs, so to say, lopsided games, but last night it was a very good ball game. Actually tied at one point early in the 4th quarter at 24. All right, let's talk about local girls high school basketball tomorrow night. Wednesday night, it'll be Oak Hills and Burroughs over at Burroughs High School. Burroughs right now tied for first place with Oak Hills. Those two teams, top two teams in the league. The game starts over at Burroughs at 6 o'clock. Game will be on radio, 12:40 a.m. if you can't get out. 4:30 is the start of the JV girls game. The boys will be on the road tomorrow. They'll be over at Oak Hills. And on Friday, Doug Hayes and crew, they will return. They will play host to Sultana. JV starting at 4:30 and the varsity boys scheduled at 6. Okay, NBA last night. The NBA Spurs, 32 wins in a row now at home. They demolished the Brooklyn Nets 106-79. Now, Brooklyn just fired their head coach, Lionel Hollins, over the weekend. Hollins was there in his second year. Former Memphis coach, had a lot of success there, but struggled at Brooklyn. Brooklyn last year got to the first round of the playoffs. They were beaten by the Atlanta Hawks. The Wizards beat the Bulls, and the Warriors only lost 2 games this season. They beat the Heat. The Warriors play the Lakers on Thursday night here at Staples Center in Los Angeles. In the NHL last night, it's the Rangers defeating the Bruins 2-1. Both those teams having a very good season also. And a local note last night, they talked a little bit about the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl game is one of the oldest, the granddaddy of them all, played every year on January 1st. Well, something I didn't even know last night. There was only one year where the Rose Bowl did not host the Rose Bowl game. And that was 1942. And it was actually played in North Carolina at Duke University. So there's a good trivia question, a good topic of discussion. The Rose Bowl, now home to UCLA, they moved there in 1982, and the Rose Bowl is the oldest bowl game of them all. So that's your sports for this Tuesday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. Also, KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.